Good morning. All right, we're going to go ahead and work on lesson 23. It's kind of a long lesson, so we'll kind of work our way through it a little bit. If you get tired, you can turn it off and start it again another day or something. Okay. So a verb is a part of speech that can do several different things in a sentence. Remember, a verb is a word that does an action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or it can help another verb. Okay? Now, so we already know all of those things. So here's a list of verbs here in exercise 1. These are just action verbs. Nod, frown, blah, 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 blah. These are just things that you can do. Okay? Nothing to do there, just to kind of read through them. All right, so a verb is a word that does an action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. Okay, we already know about action verbs. We just read a list of them, and there's tons more. We'll learn about verbs that show state of being and link other words together in a later lesson. But in this lesson, we're going to talk about the last part of that definition. Talk about verbs that help other verbs. Okay, listen to this sentence. The pandas were munching bamboo. Okay, the pandas were doing something active. What were they doing? Okay, answer it in a complete sentence. They were munching bamboo. Okay, but if I just said they munching bamboo, doesn't sound right. Munching needs another verb to help it. The verb were is helping the verb munching. Working together, then those verbs make sense in a sentence. The verb were is called a helping verb because it's helping the main verb munching. So in order to recognize a helping verb, you need to know all of them. Again, just like anything else, if you just learn them, it's better to have them memorized, but there's so much to memorize. You're just going to learn how to find them. You'll know how to find them. So exercise 2 gives us a list of them. Now I do have I have these memorized because one of my English teachers in high school, there's nothing to it. There's no chant, there's nothing. It's just am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Well, been is right there, okay? So am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. The rest of them I don't have memorized, but I can recognize them in a sentence. Have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, could. You can put that in a song or whatever, but those are helping verbs that you're going to need to know. Okay, so that's all you need to do on exercise 2 is just read those. All right? All right. Let's look at exercise 3. Okay, now I want to show you on exercise 3, there's nothing to do. So your sentence is I am writing. Now remember, when we diagram a sentence, we always put the subject here and we put the verb over here. Okay? Now, am is a helping verb that's helping writing because you wouldn't say I writing. You say I am writing. So am is a helping verb. So the helping verb goes right along with the verb. So if I were to say, what's the verb or the verb phrase in the sentence? And you would say, am writing, because it is the whole verb, okay? All right, so on exercise 4, I think you probably know what to do. On the first one, they've written the diagram. The second one, you have to trace it, and then, of course, I forget, you use paper, so you have to write all of these. So there's 4 sentences for you to diagram. Make sure you put the helping verb with the verb, okay? So go ahead and pause it while you do those 4 sentences. Okay, let's look at exercise 5, okay? Look at these 2 words. This is conjugate. That is to learn the various forms of a verb. Infinitive is the word to plus the basic form of a verb. For example, to work. This is an infinitive. Okay, let's look at exercise 6. Okay, the verbs are underlined. I work, you work, he works. Okay, do you notice that the verb changed slightly in this last sentence? This is work, but this changed a little bit. Okay, The form of the verb changes slightly depending on the person who does the verb. Remember, there are three kinds of persons. There's first, second, and third person. Back in lesson 10, I gave you a story that would help you know the person number. Okay, so imagine you walk into an empty room. You say, I am the first person in the room. So I means it's written in first person. Okay, point to yourself. I am the first person in the room. So I is written in first person. Then your friend walks in the room and you say to your friend, I am the first person in the room. You are the second person in the room. So you, when you're talking to somebody, would be second person. Okay. Then the third person walks into the room. He's a stranger. So you whisper to your friend, I'm the first person. You are the second person. He is the third person. Okay. So all those help you kind of get the, who's first, second, and third person, and then what pronouns that you would use. And then if you know the pronoun, you'd know what verb to use. Okay, so let's look at exercise 7 then. First person, I. Second person, you. Third person would be he, she, or it. Okay, nothing to do there. All right, remember our story about the room. Each person enters the room individually. One single person enters the room at a time. I, you, and he are called singular persons because each is just one. Each is a single person. But suppose more than one single person enters the room at a time. Imagine that your whole family as a group enters the room at one time. Okay, you might say, we are the first persons in the room. So these would be singular in our story if it was just one person and then your friend and then a stranger. Okay, but then plural, you might say, that would be like your whole family enters in. Okay, so we is first person plural because you're talking about all of us, including yourself. Second person's the same. And really in Texas, it would be y'all would be second. And then they would be third person plural because you're pointing over there at them, those strangers over there. Okay. All right, let's look at exercise 9. We're gonna, pardon me, we're gonna conjugate the verb to work. Okay, when we conjugate, we learn the various forms of the verb, how a verb changes slightly depending on the person doing the action. So find the chart in exercise 9 right here, which I have pulled up. Okay, you work at the present moment. Let's look at the verb work. So we're going to read the chart. First person singular, I work. First person plural, we work. Second person singular, you work. Plural, y'all work or you work. Third person singular, he, she, or it works. Third person plural, they work. Okay, let's look at exercise 10. So you noticed how the verb work changed here. Okay, so we're going to look at this again. A verb can show present time, past time, or future time. In grammar, we call the time that a verb is showing is its tense. Tense means time. In the sentence, today you work, the verb tense or time is present. You are working today, right now, in the present. We just conjugated the present tense of the verb to work. I work today. You work today. He, she, or it works today. We work today. You work today. They work today. So a verb can show past or past tense. So listen to this sentence. So yesterday you worked. The verb tense or time is past. You worked yesterday in the past. Now we're going to conjugate the past tense of the verb to work. Look at the chart then in exercise 10. Past tense. Okay? So I worked yesterday. We worked yesterday. You worked yesterday. You worked yesterday. He, she, or it worked yesterday. They worked yesterday. Okay, notice how those changed. All right, we can also do future tense. Okay, that means it's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. In order for a verb to be in the future tense, it's got to have the helping verb shall or will in front of it. So now we're going to conjugate the future tense of the verb to work. So look at the chart here in 11. All right, so let's see, how are we going to put this? I guess to work. Okay, so I will work, we will work, you will work, you will work. Remember, you can use shall as well, and they gave you an example here, but so many times we don't use the word shall, but you can, it is correct. Okay, that's future tense. All right, let's go to exercise 12. So you are, in exercise 12, you're going to underline the verb and the helping verb, if there is one, because not every sentence has a helping verb. Then you're going to tell whether the verb is present, past, or future tense, okay? And this is your last assignment for today, so I'm probably going to give you a grade on this one. You should do this pretty well. Remember, underline the verb and the helping verb if there is one, and then right out beside it, just put past, present, or future. Okay? Now, look for will or shall, because that gives you the clue that it's future, and those are helping verbs. Okay? All right. Let me know if you need any help on this, and that'll be all for today.